Now it's time for me to turn the webinar over to our host, Alan Marks, Senior Product Manager here at Calix. The mic is all yours, Alan.
All right, great. Thank you, Trudy. Hi, everyone. Welcome. And thank you for joining the webinar today. So, what we're going to talk about today is how, here at Calix, we're working with our broadband service provider customers to help them transform their businesses by implementing a platform approach to deploying and managing broadband services. And, this whole transformation is in the context of changing subscriber expectations, delivering new services and entering new markets, and all of this while continuing to evolve the network. So we're going to talk about how broadband service providers like yourselves are using this platform approach to drive operational efficiency, reduce OpEx, and elevate the subscriber experience. So this approach, as you'll see when we talk about it in more detail in a few minutes, allows you to integrate disparate systems into a unified ecosystem that, has a couple of major benefits, right? One is seamless access to data and insights across subscribers and systems and services. Another benefit is that you're able to apply automation to many different processes, right? So this reduces the complexity of your operations and helps ensure, that you stay focused on the subscriber experience. So, our agenda for today is to first talk a little bit about the market environment and what's driving business and operations transformation, looking at how subscriber needs and expectations are changing and recognizing that delivering new value-added services beyond connectivity in the home is what's going to drive business growth. Next, we'll talk about what our broadband platform is and what it consists of and what the benefits of a platform approach are. And then we'll hear from one of our BSP customers about what the platform has meant to them, learn about the key use cases that they've implemented, the KPIs and the results they've achieved, and what they're planning to do in the future. So we have a great group of speakers on the webinar today. I'd just like to personally thank them for participating. And if you really want to understand how to deploy the platform and implement new use cases that transform your operations processes and reduce OpEx and improve the subscriber experience, then these folks right here are the folks who you want to talk to. So I'm happy to have here today Luke Hofferber from Mid-South Fiber, and my colleagues from Calix, Bob Carrick, Director of Global Strategy for Calix Cloud, and Ann Gunther, our Product Marketing Director for Calix Cloud. So with that, let me hand it over to Luke and let him give an introduction about himself and Mid-South Fiber.
Cool, thank you, Alan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luke Hofferber, and I'm the Technical Project Coordinator at Mid-South Electric Cooperative. A little bit about me is that I joined the company back in 2020 to launch a rural fiber broadband service known as Mid-South Fiber. And at Mid-South, I focused on establishing technical solutions for service delivery, network monitoring, and OSS, BSS integrations. At Mid-South Electric Co-op, we service over 40,000 electric members across 6 counties in the Northwest Houston area. Beyond electric, we also provide fiber, water, and solar services. Back in 2020, we launched Mid-South Fiber, where our goal was to provide high-speed and reliable internet to our underserved rural community. In the last 4 years, we've grown to over 16,000 residential and business subscribers, offering multi-gig internet and VoIP services. Thank you, Alan.
Okay. Now I think on to Ann.
Great. Hello, everyone. Luke, it's great that you call out Mid-South's growth. It's so impressive, right? And it comes back to the subscriber experience. So I'd like to quickly expand on that very topic here, considering the skyrocketing level of subscriber expectations, which, by the way, these expectations aren't just being set by you and your competitors, they're being set by brands like Apple, Netflix, Uber, who have almost like an obsession with the customer experience. So now subscribers expect personalized offers and near real-time resolution of their problems. In fact, in an industry survey, 64% want service providers to respond faster to their evolving needs. So it's no surprise that BSPs face this increasing challenge to provide competitive value-based offers to meet these needs and with that speed to market. So of course, next slide, please. We're leaning into technology, right, to help solve for these challenges. And now, especially, we're seeing an amazing rate of technological innovation that not only addresses this increasing level of subscriber expectations, but gets in front of these needs, the ability to anticipate and do so in a way that's efficient, since scale is key. We're seeing service providers really double down on operational efficiency to achieve a balance between the innovative growth and their operations, right? It certainly is top of mind. In another industry survey, we found that 95% of BSPs report that to remain competitive, they must focus on operational efficiency to deliver a reliably consistent subscriber experience. And this means, for instance, greater ease in deployment, simplifying support operations, leveraging integrations to drive automation so that there's this future-proof infrastructure on which to build, launch, and support these exceptional subscriber experiences. And when we take a look at, next slide, please, how these service offerings are expanding, right, it becomes so apparent about the need for operations to simplify so that these services can really scale with efficiency. For example, subscribers expect a curated offering that personalizes the connected experience to their needs and delivers value over time. So these offerings translate into customer-centric targeted plans like bundles for gamers, bundles for your work from homers, parental controllers, those who are security aware. I'm sure you get the idea, right? And with this expansion in personalized packages to differentiate that experience, right, and beat the competition, then comes complexity in the operations. And that's where you have a great opportunity to change the game. And Alan, I believe that you would like to jump in here.
Yeah, thanks, Ann, for sure. Yeah, I mean, as you were alluding to, in this environment, operations teams need to evolve, right? Otherwise, this OpEx will spiral out of control, it'll be difficult to manage, and the, subscriber experience will suffer. And, keep in mind that this evolution is across people and process and technology, right? The evolution from a people perspective is in terms of, acquiring the talent, training folks, upskilling folks, and then basically, being able to do more with less, or at a minimum, do more with what you have, right? And, from a process perspective, you want to go from manual processes to automated processes, right? You want to go from reactive to proactive, right? This is this is how you're going to make managing and supporting a complex environment simple, right? And then you want to evolve the tools and technologies, right? You want to use tools that turn all of the data you have into actionable intelligence and insights, and you want to, take advantage of AI and machine learning that makes your people and your processes both more efficient and more intelligent. Ultimately, you want to deploy tools and technologies that simplify integrations and allow you to create an operations ecosystem with Calix and our partners, and with your partners like your OSS and BSS partners. So, what happens if you don't evolve, right? What happens if you stay status quo? the reality of it is, most of the folks here on this webinar are probably running great teams, or they're a part of great teams already. And it took a lot of effort to get your teams to that level. But people don't get cheaper over time. The more experienced your teams are, the more it's going to cost you. So business can become unprofitable if you're not efficient with your people, right? In addition, your teams may get stagnant from doing the same things over and over. And if you're not challenging them to get to the next level, and if you're not challenging them to get to the next level and having a bigger impact on the company, right? That leads to opportunities for your competition to come in and take subscribers and take market share. So you don't want your operations team to be the bottleneck in delivering a superior, customer experience and in running increasing growth for your company, right? Your current success does not equal your future success. That's kind of like what we're all faced with. So this is where the platform approach comes in. The platform is what's going to enable your business to move away from a model where, at best, ARPU is only able to keep pace with OpEx at best, right? This platform-enabled approach is going to help you drive business growth by flattening out that OpEx curve while producing a hockey stick curve of high-margin ARPU growth, right? We've seen that customers who adopt the platform approach can quickly deploy and manage new services. They can enter new markets, things like community Wi-Fi and business services, and have very, very robust subscriber acquisition, service penetration rates, brand affinity and loyalty, and extremely low churn. And on the OpEx side, we've seen our customers use the platform to streamline integrations, as Ann mentioned, and employ automation to reduce costs, go from reactive to proactive issue diagnosis and resolution, reduce trouble calls, escalations, and technician dispatches, and empower their teams to move from labor-intensive manual work to higher value tasks. So yeah, at the end of the day, this platform approach is what's going to allow you to deploy and manage new services more efficiently and reach new markets and new subscribers faster. So that brings us, I think, Trudy, to the first poll question. Do we have it? Okay. What is the most important driver of business transformation for BSPs? Subscriber expectations, need to differentiate on subscriber experience. Teams are being asked to do more with less, have to be more operationally efficient, competitive threats and commoditization of basic connectivity, and the fact that transformation is really continuous, getting personnel to adopt a culture of change. So we're going to show the results, right, Trudy? I don't know if Trudy is there, or maybe she's on mute.
There we go.
Oh, I don't actually see the results. Do you see the results?
I do. 50% for subscriber expectations, differentiating on experience, and 50% on competitive threats and commoditization of basic connectivity. Totally makes sense, right? That's what we're seeing as well. And we're seeing obviously this tremendous focus onto that experience, right? To truly differentiate it, right? Speeds and feeds are table stakes, right? It has to be something that really helps to deliver value in a personalized way. So this certainly makes good sense. Any comments from your end, Alan?
Oh, I see it now. I couldn't see it before. I opened up the little poll window. Well, yeah, I think I think for sure, to differentiate on subscriber experience, that is the differentiator, right? I mean, that is going to be your key differentiator. So to say that, we want to transform our business and our operations to, so that our subscriber experience is a differentiator. That's, yeah, I think that's critical. And then, competitive threats, that kind of goes along with that, right? Because we're saying, I mean, what folks are saying is that we need that to be a differentiator, and that's going to be a part of how we're going to counter these competitive threats and the commoditization of basic connectivity. So that makes total sense to me.
Right.
So let's see, so that's poll question number 1. I think I can still, it's a little confusing here whether I can still be moving the slides with this poll thing, but let's see here. The next one, I think it's off to Bob, right?
It is, thanks. And I love that technically both of those answers were completely intertwined and interrelated, and that it was 50-50 down the middle, right? One on differentiating with experience and the other being the threat from competition. And there are multiple ways that you can start to address both of those, right? You know, the experience isn't just things like great parental controls, great managed Wi-Fi. You can take experience to the next level, and that's when you start to look at all this as an ecosystem, it enables and opens up real opportunities for a whole bunch of, and we, you know, Ann's mentioned it, Alan, you've mentioned it, right? Talking about being an automated approach and a proactive approach. And proactive is the one that, you know, we all know I harp on a lot. So when looking at this picture, you know, I want to ask Luke, you know, for you at Mid-South, you know, what does a platform, a Calix platform approach mean to you?
Yeah, and I think it was a great call out. Before I hop into the platform approach, just talking and looking at the results from that poll, especially coming from a electric cooperative background, it's even more important. And the reason is that as an electric cooperative and now a fiber service provider, a broadband service provider, what are the ways that we can link those two services together to provide that competitive advantage over service providers entering in our territory? And one of the things that makes me think of is that we're no longer just providing commodity-based service. We're no longer providing electric. We're no longer just providing fiber. Our brand is slowly transforming into that lifestyle brand that says, I'm moving into a house. What are all the services that I need for my house? Okay, I need electric, I need water, I need fiber internet. And then what are the technologies that go into that house? Are they Arlo cameras? Are they an application that controls all the smart devices in your home, like the Command IQ app? And I think that poll just maybe reaffirms that kind of idea, that if you are an electric cooperative out there, embracing that idea that you're no longer just providing electric service, you're providing that lifestyle brand, that one-stop shop for the services that go into somebody's house. So thank you for bringing that up, Bob. But just to touch on the slide, so Ann mentioned earlier that technology is complex, and you're trying to provide that curated experience to your subscribers, but what does that look like behind the scenes? And I have a little chart in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide, and I just wanted to go over it very briefly and talk about the technology and the platform approach that we've been able to utilize from Calix. So on that top row, we have 3 existing systems that were brought over from the electric company. And that was our business intelligence team and our GIS team that were already fully staffed, and a existing software in our GIS platform with all our homes passed records ready to go. And everything that you see beneath that line were the new systems and technology that we added because of the fiber service. And I've been called out a couple of times for reusing this chart in other conversations or webinars that I've had in the past. So I'm gonna try to spice it up a little bit and tell it more in a story. So when we first launched back in 2020, 0 subscribers, what's the first thing that you ask yourself? Well, how are these subscribers going to sign up for our service? And 2020 was a unique year to launch a company because the idea of having a subscriber come into an office location, fill out a form in person, is a little bit problematic given the global pandemic that was going on. So we started off by onboarding an online portal for signups. This was fed by our existing memberships location data from the GIS database, which then fed into our OSS BSS platform to create that customer record for us to go out and build the drop to them. And so cool, we've got all that information. Well, now how do we deploy the crew? We've got to load those new signups into our outside plant management software, deploy the construction crews. And as we start to move through this, every line that you see on this graph is that choice that Alan mentioned between a manual process or a system integration. And from the start, we were heavily focused on taking the time needed where possible to automate as many steps in this process as we could. And every one of those lines takes time to deploy. But inevitably, a fully autonomous system isn't always possible. And that's where we started building teams around the technology. We built a support team to help glue the non-autonomous pieces together. At the start, this required a pretty broad understanding of the fiber business as a whole, because the support role ranged anywhere from dispatching crews to supporting our subscribers, outage management, and even maintenance. And the benefit of the Calix platform is that if you notice the complexity on this graph on the right-hand side, it wasn't symmetrical on the left-hand side where you see the SMX and cloud environment set up. And this was because we had one controller for all of our OLTs, we had one managed Wi-Fi portal for all of our CPE equipment, and only one connection required to provision all those servers. And this significantly reduced the potential points of failure in that system and allowed us to run without those highly specialized staff for almost 2 years. And this was big because Alan mentioned just a second ago that the cost of labor just keeps going up. The more experience, the more technologically advanced you have to hire those specialized employees, well, they're very expensive to maintain. So keeping things automated and simple is the key for running a fiber service. So bouncing over now to the left-hand side of the screen, out of the box real-time integration. Automation is key here. So as I mentioned earlier, each line on that chart was an integration point. That balance between, is it going to be a manual process or is it going to be an autonomous process? So instead of just one OLT to provision services to, think about 2 or 3. And instead of one piece of CPE equipment, think about several brands that play, different operating systems, each with their own software release and schedules and unique features. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on this slide is that that seemingly mathematical equation in the bottom center. And I like the analogy here because what it's saying is that platform plus vision equals partnership. And there's one invisible component to that, and that's trust. There's trust built into every partnership. There's trust in the platform. There's trust in the vision. And so when I see that equation, it's really platform plus vision multiplied and accentuated by that trust aspect is what true partnership ends up equaling. And so when you go out and pick a platform, it's critical to understand that if that platform is going to capture the vision of where you as a service provider want to go, and that you have that trust that through the partnership, you guys will get there together. And that's one of the things that I wanted to accent today about Calix for us.
I appreciate that, Luke. I heard as you were talking and going through the boxes on the right, I was like, oh, it's a lot of complexity, a lot of steps, a lot of area for problems, for, you know, whether it's as simple as fat fingering or having to enter data into multiple places and then not having a true single source of truth and all the disparate aspects. But, you know, bringing that all together in an automated set of processes from an integration perspective, you know, just from you talking about it, I can see how that would lead greatly to reduced fallout, to ease of work, to less people hours on tasks and opportunities. With that being said, you know, do you have a story or some examples on how putting in this work to get this to this state has really helped you transform your operations?
Well, really, I mean, some of the best stories go back to day one. I'm in the school of thought when it comes to automation that in order to be effective at automating, you first have to do the manual processes to fully understand what you're trying to automate. So, once upon a time, almost all those lines had been done by hand. There was no computer-to-computer interaction. Back in 2020, the data flow between our OSS BSS partner up to Calix Cloud was still running off of a flat file. Now it runs off of a real-time API so that whenever a new subscriber turns on service, now their subscriber account is immediately created. And I think that's probably a really cool story to touch on. So back in the early days, there was a big focus towards support. I mean, that's the most important role within your organization in order to keep your subscribers happy. But what happens whenever you're doing a flat file upload that only happens every 24 hours, usually happens between like 9 p.m. and 1 a.m., and a new subscriber just got installed, they call into support and we have no idea who they are. We don't know what their equipment is. We don't know if they have the app installed. I mean, all these things just degrade the experience that your subscriber could have. So when we switch to that real-time API integration, well, now immediately once that work order is closed out and the technician leaves, you know who that subscriber is. Your support team knows who that subscriber is, what equipment they have, and if they have the app installed, the Command IQ app installed on their device. So yeah, that would be a great story that I'd throw in there about the power of automation as opposed to flat file integrations or even manual processes.
Appreciate it. And it's such an easy one to understand, right? It'd be like, if you have no visibility when the subscribers got installed and need support, how terrible that experience would be, right? So it's not just about having blazing fast internet and broadband service, but also obviously being able to have the right conversation at the right time with that subscriber. Really appreciate it. You and I are going to come back in a little bit to talk more. Alan, back over to you for the next slide.
All right, thanks Bob, thanks Luke. On the next slide, just to drill down a little bit on that diagram from the previous slide, let's take a look at how we define this broadband platform and sort of where it fits in the context of your broadband business. We've been talking about this a bit already, but basically, the broadband platform is the service delivery network management and support platform that kind of underpins all of the Smart Life managed services that you can offer as part of your business, right? And it's part of an ecosystem, as we've been talking about, that is supported by our partner community and as well as by our own Calix customer success team and services. So this platform, as I mentioned before, consists of our intelligent access solution, our unlimited subscriber solution, and Calix Cloud. And when I talk about Smart Life managed services, what I'm talking about is smart home, right? Smart home is managed Wi-Fi and all the value-added services you can offer, like Protect IQ and Experience IQ and Arlo and Bark and all of that. And I'm also talking about Smart Town, the managed community Wi-Fi, and I'm talking about Smart MDU and Smart Biz. So just to touch briefly on the components of the platform, the first thing, as I mentioned, is our intelligent access solution. And this is comprised of our, access and aggregation systems, like the OLTs, like the E32 and E72 and E92 and the ASM aggregation systems, as well as our intelligent access foundation software, which include the software that you folks are probably pretty familiar with, AXOS and SMX. And I just wanted to point out that this solution also includes our operations cloud software, right, which is collecting data and telemetry from across the network, provides an optimized GUI and geomap to the operations teams for doing things like proactive network monitoring and health reporting and alerting and real-time notifications across subscribers and services and systems. And yes, another part of the platform is our customer premises equipment portfolio, right? On the customer premises side, as the slide says, we have the world's largest service provider portfolio of managed Wi-Fi systems. This includes Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7 systems, mesh systems, and indoor and outdoor systems, and systems for residential single-family homes or for MDUs and for business applications. And yeah. So actually, maybe I can ask Luke here for a second. I think he's joked about having a poster or something like this in his office, but seriously, what does it mean to you, Luke, to have a platform that supports all of these different systems with a common operating system and a common containerized software model?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's not just a poster. I have boxes of most of these pieces of equipment sitting in my office at home. I do a lot of the initial product testing for pre-deployment on these pieces. And so, I've got the U61 sitting right next to me, the U10 by my foot right now, the U6 TEXG, all these things are floating around just within arm's reach of me right now. So that poster would be nice. Feel free to send me one, but I've got them all on display on my desk. But what that really means to me, and I wasn't, maybe this is a good opportunity for another new operator take, but when we launched, I was like, what's the purpose of managed Wi-Fi? Why can't subscribers just go out to the store, buy one of their multi-antenna $300 routers that's going to be the best technology that they can put in their house? And the struggle there is that problems happen every day in a service provider space. And without having a managed Wi-Fi solution, there is no ability to help somebody in need. And so over the months and the first few years of deploying these routers, I really started to see the value in having not only a managed Wi-Fi solution in somebody's house, but a managed Wi-Fi solution that works in the background, like connecting mesh units, connecting outside APs. It all just works seamlessly together for less consumer frustration. So, I'd have to say, maybe to use the term drinking the Kool-Aid, I've since been converted from that consumer purchased router to the managed Wi-Fi solution. And that's why I use it all personally in my house.
Yeah, that's great, Luke. Thanks for that. I mean, I do think that it's like there is a lot of value in having, all of the different systems being managed by, in the same way with the same software, with the same tools. You deploy managed Wi-Fi, or you deploy, outdoor Wi-Fi, or you deploy, community Wi-Fi. You're looking at all of the, you're monitoring all of those different services and networks and equipment from the same tools. I think there is for sure a lot of value in that. So thanks. Okay, and just as with the intelligent access solution, a critical component of the broadband platform is of course we've been talking about it, providing management and operational support for the unlimited subscriber systems. And this of course is accomplished with our Calix cloud solution. And for more details on that, I'll hand it over to Ann.
Awesome, thank you, Alan. Well, to expand on that point in support for the intelligent access and the unlimited subscriber, Calix Cloud is integrated with these systems, enabling a deep level of visibility into the real-time insights about the health and the performance of the network and the Wi-Fi. And it connects this network intelligence and platform performance with subscriber insights. And that avails a 360 perspective of the subscriber experience. Very powerful, right? And through this curated views or lenses of this 360 perspective. So for operations, it's with Operations Cloud, for customer support, Service Cloud, and for marketing, Engagement Cloud. Okay, so these roles now can easily orchestrate an end-to-end subscriber experience that differentiates from that first touch point throughout the subscriber's journey. You know, Luke was hitting on earlier, knowing that subscriber, right? From when, let's say, they call in to support. Now those insights are served up, right? That CSR doesn't have to go looking for them. That's powerful. Now, another example, if we want to walk through that orchestration, is let's take the subscriber insights that can help to inform a targeted marketing campaign, right? With segmentation data to really personalize the offerings, driving the take rates. Now we have growth, right? Operations takes on the deployment of these new services, ensuring that consistent, reliable experience. And in parallel, support teams, they're proactively managing that seamless experience with insights across the subscribers' systems and services. So those conventional silos are broken down, and that enables more of that cross-functional collaboration to really manage that experience. And, you know, Luke, I'm coming back to you again because I really loved what you said about the trust aspect of it, right? Is that when the team is empowered with the insights and the tools, right? They're confident and they can collaborate, and that builds trust, right? And that exudes out to the subscribers. They feel it, they know it, and that in turn really drives that exceptional experience. And it also helps to mitigate that infamous swivel chair, right? We've heard of it too many times, and right, through having this data capability of being able to access the data and really leverage it for actioning, especially being in that proactive motion, that is a game changer. And if we hop to the next slide here, this helps to visualize the trifecta of the Calix cloud, right? And how these functional roles connect and how they're enabled with those insights to really grow and support that subscriber experience. I just want to share a real quick real world use case, and this helps demonstrate how Service Cloud and Operations Cloud work together. One of our customers was leveraging automated notifications about ONT health during the storm season. And so when there was an ONT alert in Operations Cloud, that cascaded to their instance of Service Cloud, enabling their CSRs to proactively create tickets for actioning. So this frontline team could very quickly access the insights about the ONT and then reach out to subscribers proactively. There wasn't a need for those subscribers to call in, right? So it was a big game changer in terms of that experience. And that's just one quick example of how this type of approach helps to create an ecosystem. Now, I'm sure, like before, Bob and Luke have way more to share along that line. So over to you, Bob.
Appreciate it. Next slide, if you don't mind, Alan. I was sort of chuckling, Ann, as you were mentioning, and I really appreciate service providers being proactive in whatever manner they are. So, for example, in the case that you said, right, ONTs going missing, going down, going offline, you know, agents are able to see that in Service Cloud very easily, and then they were going and manually creating tickets and doing outbound. But I was chuckling because Luke can take that like 10 steps forward in all of the work that they've done as part of all of these integrations to the ecosystem between, you know, their billing BSSOS vendor GLDS, Calix, their work. So it's a great segue into the next bit that Luke can talk about. Instead of just talking about the ecosystem here, Luke, could we talk a little bit about what you've done from a full automation perspective with Calix, with GLDS, and how you've really taken outages, because they unfortunately are going to happen, but taking that to the next level and how fully automated that is within your organization?
Yeah, sure. So I think everybody in the audience is slowly being incorporated into an elite group who has seen these diagrams that I created too frequently. But I don't want to talk about the ecosystem a whole lot, like Bob mentioned. I want to talk more about proactive outage solutions and communicating with your subscribers before they need to call in to your support teams and report the outage that one you already know about. So, and this is a great slide for me and probably another good story about Bob and meeting Bob Carrick for the first time, and it goes into how this idea came about. And so back, and I believe it was in April of 2022, we do an ideation session with Calix and our OSS BSS vendor GLDS. And through that, one of the discussions that we talked about was, well, what if we use the Command IQ app to notify subscribers of current outages in the system via push notifications? And everybody really liked that idea. At the end of the session, Bob takes out his black notebook, jots down the idea, and from what I understand, an NFR got created within Calix shortly after that. And just to take a slight pause on that, don't want to miss the opportunity. It's a new feature request, right, Bob? NFR?
I actually call it a new field request. So it denotes that it's a request literally from the field, from our customers. And I love that you mentioned that I took out my notebook. It's a running joke that people know if you get into my notebook that things get actioned, but that's exactly how it happens, right? It's learning from our customers, learning from our partners, where they're struggling and where they could see, Calix helping or GLDS helping or coming together. And that's exactly what happened. So we ended up, building out this function invoked in Operations Cloud to be able to proactively notify in many different ways, email, text, and webhooks that, subscribers have down services. So continue on with how, you worked with GLDS to take that function that's now available in Operations Cloud and really automate that.
Yeah, definitely. And I just, new field requests, I saw it on the podcast you did recently. It's almost along the lines of TR69, which I know is another one that I could stump you with. But yeah, Alan, do you mind moving over to the next slide for me? Yeah, so this is what we built, and this is a proactive solution that scans your network. I mean, not really scans, but it takes data from your network and makes it actionable. It's a 4-step process that we do when we communicate with the subscriber, and the first step in that process is a completely automated message that gets generated during a multi-user outage. Mid-South Fiber is aware of the outage in your area. We're working as quickly as possible to restore your connectivity, and we'll keep you updated on the process. This is really important because it lets the subscriber know, hey, if you're looking to report this outage, you might not need to. We're aware of it. We're coming to get you. Just give us a second to start mobilizing the crews. And I feel like trust can even just be its own slide in this webinar, because if you notice in the text message that we send out, we don't let our subscribers know when they can expect to hear from us or when we expect to resolve their issue from that initial text. And the trust that we build with our subscribers and our members is that they can expect to hear from us in the next 1 to 2 hours. And when they do hear from us again, what they get is an ETA of when the technician should arrive on site. It's a big thing that we do at Mid-South, where members from various teams will go out and do a ride along with our field technicians, just to get that experience of what's going on realistically out in the field. And some of the feedback that I've gotten from that is that whenever an outage is happening, all of our subscribers walk outside and start trying to locate where the damage could be at. So we get in front of that. We let them know, hey, if you're looking out your window or if you're outside, this is when your technician is expected to arrive. Again, within keeping that standard cadence that we like to inform our subscribers on, the next opportunity for communication is whenever we have located the damage. So within 1 to 2 hours of that ETA, we provide them with the cause of the outage, and then also when they can expect their services to be restored. And at the conclusion of that, the system automatically detects when the services are restored. We send out a message of when they can be expected to be, or we send out a message that they have been restored. And we also provide our direct phone number to our technical support team, which is a little bit different because they're no longer having to interact with an IVR system or an automated system to press 1 for this or press 2 for that. We already know that they're having an outage, so let's get them in contact with the people that can help them quickly and efficiently. So one other thing that we did during this project is well, how do we measure the success of it? We took a large scale outage that we had a couple of months ago that impacted 99 subscribers. 53 of those subscribers had text message enabled. 46 of them did not. Out of those 99 subscribers, 72% of them had historical records of reporting outages or other service affecting events. So we knew that they knew how to get in contact with us. And what we found from that data is that out of the 53 subscribers that were text message enabled, only 4% of them called in to report the outage. In contrast, the 46 subscribers that were text message disabled called in to report that same outage. And what that ends up equating to is an 88% reduction in call volume to your support centers. Just from getting out in front of things, you have the data, just let the subscriber know that you're working on it. And that seems to be an impactful touch point in your service.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Luke. Right? Yes, it's great that you're reducing inbound call volume by 88%, but it also, even though it's harder to measure, it really does increase subscriber satisfaction. And I guess you can tell that measure because they're not getting frustrated and not calling, because you're being proactive and letting them know, hey, we know you have a problem, we're working on it, and then updating them throughout that process. But of course, it doesn't just stop there. Why not touch base a little bit here on how automation has also improved the workforce and all the hours that would be required to do things?
Yeah, so every one of those lines in my overused chart at this point is an automation opportunity, or inversely, an opportunity that you're missing out on. And one of those points is that in the last 12 months, Mid-South Fiber has generated over 17,000 equipment affecting work orders. This is anything from soft disconnects, hard disconnects for no pay, equipment swaps, service tier upgrades. Each one of those adds a little bit of time into everybody's day. And we estimated that saved us about 8,500 hours of labor saved. And this last number that you see on here, we put some hypothetical numbers based on real values, but if you were to spend 30 minutes messing with your OSS BSS system to upgrade a service tier and then going into your controller and applying that change to the service tier, you'd spend on average about 30 minutes doing those changes manually. And then you take into account the average cost of labor for support staff might range around $23 an hour. And what that equates to is that in just the last 12 months alone through automation, Mid-South has been able to save almost $200,000 in OpEx savings.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's really impressive, Luke. And don't believe you me, none of that information is lost on my, my marketing skills for writing this up. You'll see your name and Mid-South mentioned in a lot of marketing places. But how about, can you talk a little bit about just looking forward? What's in the future, Luke?
Yeah, so Anne mentioned a couple of these, and they actually go right in line with some of the enhancements that we're looking for. One of those being is we really need to enhance our technician experience out in the field. We know what they have as far as equipment goes, but there's information in SMX or Calix Operations Cloud that could help enhance their experience. So all of our technicians, they have a technician app on their phone that they use to close out work orders. So what if that technician app on their phone was able to pull OLT and ONT light readings from SMX or Calix Operations Cloud? And really the key point there is on the OLT light levels. Because most technicians, they'll be walking around with their ONT PON meter, but that doesn't tell the whole story about the full circuit of light coming to the equipment and then returning back to the hub or the HUD. And then the second aspect of that is that would then allow you to capture a birth certificate. When the services were installed, what were those current light readings? Were there changes whenever you go back out for a service ticket. And then the second point on that is an enhanced member services experience. A lot of times we don't enable the full cloud suite to every employee within our company. Reducing that swivel chair. Well, I could go to Engagement Cloud to get insights data, but what if that was presented to me in the system that I use most of the time, which in our case is GLDS's Broad Hub, bringing down information like Wi-Fi experience, churn risk, or even bandwidth limit hits, so that it can help your frontline employees shape the conversation that you have with subscribers. And then the third point, which feeds back into that outage detection system, advanced call routing. If you remember that the number that I put on there, that 33% of subscribers that did not receive a text called in to report the outage. Well, if they didn't receive a text, they surely wouldn't have known that we knew about the outage, so they're calling in to report it. But what if your IVR system was smart enough to interact with your OSS BSS platform to pull that outage data out of it and use a system like text to voice and read off what the last update that we've sent out via text message would have been? And then the last point on that is a public-facing fiber outage map. We've been doing this on the electric side for years, where any service is affected, we publicly display service affected areas. So what if you're able to take your fiber outage data, overlay it with your electric outage data, so that subscribers and members have a one source of location that would depict what services are affected in which part of your service territory.
Great, Luke, thank you. Let's see, next, I think we have the next is the next poll question, Trudy. Let's see. What do you think is the most important action for getting started building an ecosystem using the platform? Planning, execution, building teams around the solution. Give folks a minute on that one. Look at the results of that. So 67% say planning, 33% building teams around the solution. Maybe, I know you have some thoughts on this, Luke. What do you think about, you know, the planning do in advance and getting the teams to buy in?
Yeah, well, I'm shocked that 0% said execution. That would have probably been the one that I voted for, but maybe if you heard the story on how we initially started testing this product, you'd understand why the planning fell off a little bit. But planning ended up being the most important part of it. We started working on this project almost a year or a little over a year ago at this point, and planning took up about 4 months of that time. And what planning required is, well, you've got to get buy-in from multiple teams. You've got your member service reps, you've got your customer service reps, your technical service reps, and all of them have value add in the system. Then not only that, you have communications teams, marketing teams, operations teams that all feed back into this. And so you have to get the buy-in from across the board, and that takes time. Sometimes there's some skepticism around automation and how it interacts with humans, and making sure that you plan efficiently and effectively to not only vet the system that you're about to roll out, but also build the operational processes around it was a huge one. So planning, a big one for us. Execution, now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, this was the shortest part of our implementation strategy. This took only about 1 to 2 months. This was a lot of vetting and taking baby step approach to the implementation. To be transparent on it, when we first started, a lot of this was all manual processes. We didn't let the system immediately text message subscribers. We would trigger that manually in-house by a person, just to understand what the effect of that kind of text message would be. And then the last point, bringing teams around the solution or building teams around the solution. As I mentioned earlier during planning, this was very big because In some cases, there is a humanistic aspect to this. Crews are now having to report back what their ETA is to drive out, where maybe in the past that wasn't as important of a data point. Providing ETRs, which in some cases also wasn't an important data point, and bringing and building the teams around that vision that everything that we're doing in this project is geared towards the subscriber. That's what was important to us when we rolled this out.
Yeah, no, that's great, Luke. Yeah, thanks for that. I just wanted to finally, I've mentioned it briefly a couple times, but you know, our Calix success team and partner community play a huge role in helping you know, our customers innovate and grow their businesses using the platform. And so just for a few more details on that, just hand it back to Ann for a minute here.
Yeah, sure. So folks, you know, to support and internally drive this transformation, oftentimes service providers, they need guidance like frameworks, okay, to optimize their people and processes to really gain that internal alignment, break down those silos that we've been hitting on, and then really build towards that transformation goal. So Calix Success is a resource to you, right? They have subject matter expertise that can really help cut down the time, really accelerate that full cycle and help with all aspects of the network build, the service launch, and operational improvement. And there's more if we want to hop to the next slide here. And this is about our partner community. We have a lot of innovators here, and it gives you the opportunity to take their capabilities, as you can see over on the right here, and leverage this for your solutions. It's all about differentiating yourself in the market, right? And so our partners are here to help you as part of this transformation, okay? And with that, here's a quick poll as a feedback loop so that you can let us know if you have any questions, if when looking at these different topics, you'd like to continue that conversation, etc. All right, so please do share your thoughts and let us know here.
Yep, thank you, Ann. And we can hand it back to Trudy. Thank everyone for participating today, all the speakers and all of the attendees. Thank you very much.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
your time today.
We'll just leave this open for anybody who would like to follow up with us. I'll leave this open for a little bit longer.